to talk about filtering your water, some practical ways to do it, and how to kind of gauge it along with your budget. So I want to start out by saying I used a Brita filter all the way up until this past year because it's what I could afford. I am not going to go into debt to do something that I think is more healthy. Now, I do think that it's worth it to take out a loan if you need to pay for some medical services. You know, like I had 3 fecal transplants, and those are all $30,000 out of pocket. And I didn't have the support of a lot of people who were close to me during that time. So I definitely had a GoFundMe, and I did everything I could to pay that off. And praise God, I have been able to. Now, there are certain things that I am not willing to stress out about. And that's also part of this conversation that I want to have, is realizing the goal is not perfection, it's just progress. I guess an example would be sometimes I use MCT oil to coat my pans when I'm baking because it's really easy. I can just squeeze it on there. But that MCT oil comes in a plastic bottle. Some people wouldn't touch that because it's plastic. Personally, I'm not really too concerned because 99.9% of the time my food is being stored in glass, and I do what I can to stay away from plastics. So that is giving myself permission to be imperfect while also making a good effort to strive to avoid plastics, because I know that there can be a lot of issues with that. Another example will be a water filter. So a Brita filter, according to my research, only gets rid of 58 contaminants compared to the PUR filter, which gets rid of 70 contaminants. And honestly, there's not too much of a price difference when you counter in the amount of filters that you have to replace with your Brita filter. But again, the Brita was the most affordable option that I had. And I would get the generic filters, and you know what? It was better than drinking water straight out of the faucet. Now I'm married, and Tyler and I finally have been able to budget for a more expensive water filtration system. We chose reverse osmosis because this is proven to be the strongest method of reducing contaminants. So reverse osmosis basically works by pushing the water through a semi-permeable filter, and it's really effective at filtering out all of those toxins. That's reverse osmosis. Now, you have other types of filters. Some of them are activated carbon. So this is made from things like coconut shells, some like natural earthy materials, and the contaminants stick to the carbon filter, and unfortunately it doesn't filter out everything. Another one would be ion exchange, and this is where it takes the hard water minerals found in your water and replaces them with softer ions that help to soften and condition your water, and they're harmless. And for those last 3 options that I mentioned, there are still going to be leftover contaminants. So for you, I would think about, what is your water like? If you have well water, by all means, I think you should be taking advantage of that. If you live in the city, I personally would invest in a higher priced and more efficient water filter. And then another thing that I want to bring to your attention is that whatever filter you get, even if you have the best one, like our reverse osmosis, it tastes really good. Actually, one of Tyler's friends comes over sometimes to do some shipments for e-commerce, and he'll always be like, let me get some of that Waukegan Springs, because our water filter makes the water taste so good. It's so crisp and clean. Again, we have a reverse osmosis, so it's like a big tank that you put under your sink, and it's quite an installation process. Tyler did it, but it is so good. And I think it cost us, I want to say almost $200, whereas the Brita filter you can get, probably for $40 if you buy generic filters as well. But regardless of our really high quality filter now, I am adding minerals back into my water. So no matter how filtered your water is, it will be stripped of minerals because our earth, our soil is stripped of minerals. So you need to be sure that you're adding minerals back into your water, or you're getting it through your food. But we all could use those supplemented minerals, so to speak, unless you're getting water straight from a spring, which would be amazing. I do know someone who does that, and I just think it's incredible. But that is not very practical for many of us. And so I like to add Aussie Trace Minerals. My code is Taylor10. I literally use them every single day. I put it in my flat water. I can feel it actually quenching my thirst and hydrating me versus just drinking water. Sometimes we drink water and we feel more and more thirsty because you're actually flushing your electrolytes and your minerals. You need to be adding them back to your water. Some people like to add a pinch of salt, a good quality salt, sea salt, Himalayan salt, Redmond real salt, back into their water, and that's also a good way to get your electrolytes. But the minerals, I highly recommend. They are my favorite to add to my water. So that's my spiel on water filters. The main takeaway is do what you can afford and don't stress the rest, in my opinion. There are so many other things that you could be doing that are more practical than busting the bank to get a really high quality water filter. Or you could just set aside money for a couple months and that adds up, and then you could get reverse osmosis. I just think that it's really important to focus on a couple of things at once instead of all the things. Another thing I don't stress too much about is EMFs. I go to the gym almost every day except for Sunday, and I know that there are so many EMFs. I'm surrounded by them. I turn off my Wi-Fi on my phone at night. I put my phone somewhere else and I do my best. But I'm not going to be walking around with EMF protectors and shielding my house with EMF protectors because I think that's impractical. I could be wrong. I hope that I'm not. But water filters is one of those things. You could also just buy mineral water from the grocery store. You could get them in glass bottles. Another good option is filling up the jug. You can fill it up at Whole Foods for a very affordable price. And that is good quality. I believe it's reverse osmosis water at Whole Foods. And I would also say to probably avoid drinking water out of plastic bottles if you can. That is something that I've realized, okay, I can definitely control this and reduce the impact of BPAs and other toxins in my body because I've been drinking out of plastic water bottles for a long time, most of my life, especially when they'd be sitting in my car and getting hot. That's not a good idea. So Tyler and I both have a large water bottle, Camelback, that we fill with water throughout the day, and I take that with me everywhere. So I would definitely say do that. It's more affordable and better for you. So those are my tips on water. If you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear about them. I am not the expert on water filtration, but I will speak to my experience and the knowledge that I have accumulated from researching. I think it's good to do what you can. Same with eating non-organic, non-grass-fed meat or grain-finished meat versus all organic. You don't have to, give up the roof over your head so that you can afford organic meat. Like, just eating meat versus pasta has so many benefits in itself. So just do what you can do and don't stress about the rest. God always provides for what we need. He's going to provide. And I think that it's actually a blessing that we can't do all the things at once because that would be really overwhelming. So just focus on making progress. Whatever water filter you're using right now, again, think about your location, think about the possible contaminants, and then think about what's most important to you, and then go from there. Hey you guys, my spring retreat is coming up. It's May 11 through 16 at North Myrtle Beach. We're gonna have Dr. Robert Kiltz and Dr. Lisa Wiedemann. They are incredible, very knowledgeable, wonderful carnivores. And this is an intimate setting, no more than 25 people. We're gonna have question and answers, unlimited amounts of Billy Doe meats, North Star bison. I'm gonna be making all of my recipes that will be going into my cookbook, including the exclusive ones. And it's just a great time to have a tribe, to experience this animal-based carnivorous lifestyle without white knuckling. You're gonna go home feeling motivated. You're gonna go home knowing that you have other people, other friends who are like-minded. You're not alone in this. And that's my goal, is for you to be able to go and live your life optimally in a sustainable way. And it's just unforgettable. And the fellowship, the eating, the relaxation, the recovery is huge. There are so many breakthroughs that happen during these retreats. There are so many conversations that you'll never forget that will impact you in a positive way for the rest of your life. If you're interested in my next retreat, please let me know by commenting down below or emailing me at rebecca@tailoredketo.health, and I will send you the info.